excited to talk to you. Congrats on The Eyes of My Mother.
Thank you.
Kika Nicolas. So this is your first big feature film.
Yep, my first feature.
26.
Yep.
Amazing.
Thank you.
So you went to NYU, Tisch, as did the Borderline Film guys. So
Yep.
is that sort of how you met them and got started?
No, actually. They were a couple years ahead of me, so when I was at school, they were kind of like that was like the model of how you become successful after going to NYU. And a few years after I'd graduated, one of the producers on this film, Jake Wasserman, called me up and told me that the Borderline guys were looking for someone to help out Josh editing James White. And what was supposed to only be like 5 days of helping this guy out, we hit it off immediately and became fast friends. And he became my mentor. And then eventually throughout the process, we ended up working for weeks together. And then one day he said to me, "Do you have a movie?" And helped me put it all together. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, he helped me put it together, and the other Borderline guys as well, Tony and Sean, have just been tremendously helpful, and, like, we've been able to benefit from their vast experience doing this many, many times, and then, yeah, so it was kind of just, like, fulfilling the NYU dream, and then we were fortunate to have so many of the crew members who I'd worked with when I was at film school were on my first feature as well. So my DP, Zach Cooperstein, was like my freshman year roommate and has shot everything I ever made. And yeah.
And you guys, did y'all know each other previously? It feels like this is kind of a family affair film.
Very much.
The Borderline film guys do that. So how did you know each other, or?
I met Nick in a music video. I was blessed that he cast me for a music video, and then after that, after a month of
I called her up and I was like, I have this idea. I want to do this short. I don't want to script it, but we're going to do something weird and just kind of work on it as we go. Mm-hmm. We spent 3 days and with a lot of the same core crew that went on to the feature, and we just kind of played around and experimented with it. And yeah, we had a relationship from doing the music video together. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was a total family affair. Like I said, my DP I've known since I was 16 years old, and the composer was my roommate, and I've known my producer Jake Wasserman since I was 18, and it's like we've all been through a lot together, and this movie was a nice culmination of all that.
Tell me about these music videos, because I was like reading up on you, and you've made some really cool stuff, and like live performance work for Snoop Dogg and the Black Keys.
Yeah, I mean, I did.
I just have to know. Tell me about that.
I was very into music when I was younger, and out of film school, I just sort of fell into directing music videos, and sort of like the early extension of that was doing just like being the guy in the van with musicians and just like filming them, being the fly on the wall, and going to concerts and shooting bands.
What's the weirdest thing that you saw as a fly on the wall?
Oh God, I mean, lots of weird things that I probably shouldn't say on camera.
They can remain nameless.
I mean,
yeah. Even though it's probably
I've seen the craziest thing I ever saw was like a girl passing out at a concert, and then her body just being pushed through a mosh pit, and like people treating her like she was like conscious, and it was like, oh wow, yeah, that's scary.
I see that all the time.
Yeah. But and that was cool, and it was fun working with musicians, and it's a lot like working with actors. They have very similar temperaments. No, she's got a wonderful temperament. But yeah, and then the music videos always to me were like an interesting way of making a sort of short film and having an opportunity. Nowadays, we're in this awesome world of like people actually watch music videos and want something that's a little more interesting than just girls dancing. And so I could do something more cinematic with videos in the shorter form and just like crank through them faster and not, spend years of my life on a movie. And then do also like little blips of movies that I have in my head and get to, explore those. The video that I did with her was like a 70s psychedelic sort of dreamlike thing, and the entire crew of that video is on the feature too, and it's like I work with all the same people. And,
right.
Yeah.
Now, I love that you shot this all in black and white, and I would think that doing, like you're saying, the music videos helped you develop a certain visual style. Why black and white? I mean, I think about Ida, that was a
and it's a very different black and white. it sort of came out of when I started talking with my director of photography about the look of the movie, and we were watching movies. All the movies that I was referencing just happened to be black and white, and it wasn't even the black and white that I was responding to, but...
What were you responding to?
It was, for those movies like Psycho and Repulsion by Polanski, there's a different way that they framed the camera and a different way they moved through the scenes, and that's what I was responding to. And then we just realized, like, all of these are in black and white, and there's a certain nostalgia to a different type of genre film that comes with the black and white. Mm-hmm. And we didn't want the movie to look like it was an old movie. Like, we weren't mocking a film look. We shot on the red. We were using contemporary technology and just making a choice that directors 40 years ago used to make all the time. Mm-hmm. But, people have stopped, but it's still just a choice. And we felt like it brought out a lot of the nostalgia and like that emotion that comes from those older Hitchcock movies that now we have a nostalgia for. And yeah, so that's where the black and white came from.
And Kika, you said there wasn't a script, so...
Well, for the short, there was a script for the movie.
I was like, wow.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm like, Kika, did you write this? But so... I wonder, especially when it comes to, a male director telling a story about tragedy through a female eyes, how much of this character was you? Did you guys collaborate on who she was?
We collaborated a lot.
Yeah, we did. I mean, Nick is awesome, and he was always like open to like hear my ideas, my vision of the character. Like, we were working on the movie like a year before we shot it.
Yeah,
So we
and
used
she
to
read
spend hours. Sorry, we used to spend like hours talking about the movie, the script, Francisca, and that was great. Like,
she read early drafts of the script before like most people read them, so she would say to me, well, why would she do this? And it's like, well, I don't know, why would she do that? We'd have the conversation about it, and it was great to have someone to bounce off from the get-go and to be able to talk about it, and be able to kind of flesh out this very odd, unique character long before we got to set, and that helped us tremendously because we had 18 days to shoot this, so it was very, very quick, and not a lot of time to figure things out on set. So we did a lot of the prep work ahead of time, but then also like a lot of it was improvised, and a lot of the movie's also in Portuguese, which is her native language. So.
Right.
We kind of, I'm very, very flexible when it comes to like dialogue and all that sort of stuff. So the character is a lot of me, but it is also a lot of her. And
tell me about this character. It's interesting because you describe her as being odd, but as an actor, you can't think that about your character. You can't judge her. So tell me about this woman that you guys created together.
Go for it.
well, I mean, I think that she's just a very human person, like, the base of every human being is being loved and love others, and that's what she wants the most, and she doesn't have that, so that makes her create a certain behavior, and like her childhood and how she grew up, and that lack of love in her life makes her create that. Is that like, she's not bad, she's not odd, it's like what made her be like that,
Right.
And a lot of where the character sparked from was, you hear about these really horrifying stories of these real life dark characters, and to me sometimes what's darker and more fascinating is the quiet moments for those people between all the things that you think are terrible, and like what does that normal life look like between all those things.
Tragedies.
And so that's where it was always coming from, like, we have to treat this person as real as possible, and in her world, things that she does that might be taken as terrible seem totally logical in this, world of herself.
It's like Medea, but like Medea
yes,
when she's
very
just
much
like
so.
Chilling.
Yeah, exactly.
Not killing people.
Exactly. It's like all those moments in between.
It's like everything that she would do had a reason. Like, we thought about it so much. Like, there wouldn't be like not even like a single meal that she would eat or like a step that she would do. Everything would have a reason for her to do that. Have a background.
Now, you made a film that's dark, and I always wonder how you cope with
We
going
have
there?
a lot of fun on set.
Okay. I'm like, can you tell, like, someone I interviewed recently was like, oh, I spent a lot of time in the sauna when I was making a horror film. Like, were there moments where both of you guys had to sort of pull back and go, we are in it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, what keeps me sane is that the dark movies don't come out of a dark place within me. Like, I don't think of myself as a particularly dark dude. No, not at all. I'm like a very happy, jolly guy, and the darkness comes out of my like fascination with drama. And I think that for people who make dark things, you don't have to be dark yourself and like believe in these really dark things. You just have to recognize the inherent drama in them. And I think that at the end of the day, like I always say, I just picked the best job in the world. So like making movies should be fun. And we would have her doing horrible things and she'd be like covered in fake blood, and then we'd call cut and she's hysterically laughing and like we're making jokes. And we had kids on set, we had kids on set too. So it was like very important to me that it didn't feel like a really dark, brooding atmosphere when we were not working, and like everyone had to have fun, because otherwise you're just like, we were working too hard for it to be that dark. And I think that there was a scene where we had like a baby crying for a very, very long time, and that was the one time that I was like, oh God, I feel so bad, I don't like this. But yeah, you just have as much fun as possible.
How are you feeling?
Well, I haven't even seen the movie yet. I'm like...
So you are like...
I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait.
I've seen the movie a lot.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it with an audience, but honestly, like, I'm most excited to just sit in a theater and get to see my own movie in a theater.
Yeah, it's special.
Yeah, that's cool. And I'm very interested to see what people's reactions are.